Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, back with another Flickr Photo Group of the Week. That sounded weird, but a photo from the Flickr group. So I selected this one, and it was taken by Andre Guerette, and we have him on the line right now. Andre, you want to say hey?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How are you doing up in the Canada?
I'm great.
Awesome. So what I loved about these images, I've seen a bunch that he's put up in the Flickr photo group, is that it's film. It's real deal black and white film. And when I zoomed in, actually there's a large version of this image up there, and when I looked and saw the grain, it's just like, wow, this is what film looks like. This is grain. This isn't digital. This is solid, and just brought back a lot of memories of what I used to shoot. So Andre, why don't we tell everybody why you decided to shoot film?
Well, yeah, I mean, other than really loving the way it looks and basically just falling in love with it, why I initially got into film was kind of just for practical reasons. I wanted to look into to buying cameras when I got back into to shooting, a little under 2 years ago, and then I basically came across at a yard sale and bought an old Canon FTB SLR camera, film camera from the 70s for about $3 at a yard sale. And just started using that and started to understand what I really wanted in a camera and how I really liked, the way it worked and everything, which led me to try to look into, like a really, really nice version of that kind of camera. And that led me to buying like a Canon F1, which is the professional version of that camera. It's a film camera. When I looked at, if I wanted to get, something that's digital SLR, it's equivalent to that. I was looking at having to spend a few $1,000s. I ended up buying a $100 Canon F1 body off of eBay. And then, I just got addicted to it. I basically, I love the grain. I love, I love pushing film. I love, the different results, how different films yield different results. And I don't know, it's a personal preference.
Sure. What lenses do you have?
I have a lot of lenses. I bought a lot of lenses, just left and right. But the kind of funny thing is, I would say about 98% of my photos were taken with just a really basic f1.8 50 millimeter Canon lens, the stock Canon lens that comes with almost any Canon SLR.
Yeah, I mean that's what they taught people on. When you look at Vietnam and you look at the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and what people so we're covering the Korean War, Vietnam, and something else had to be in there. The conflicts, all the different conflicts. Anyway, though that was the go-to lens because it's what your eye sees.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're looking, you're capturing. You have a 51.8. You're letting in a lot of light. You had to let in more light because your film, in the 60s and 70s, 400 speed film was probably about it. Not that I actually know because I wasn't there. But the 50 millimeter is so solid, and just what film did you use for this black and white?
That black and white in particular is Fuji Neopan. And
Neopan.
That's my kind of the one that I use, I'd say, the most. I've been using some Milford film as well, and I like that for very specific projects. But the Fuji Neopan 400 is kind of my staple.
And how are you digitizing them?
Well, basically, when I get them processed at a lab that a friend of mine runs, he's just developing them and then scanning them on basically like a machine that runs the
negatives.
Through. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that seems to be the way to do it. It's almost digital, but not. But it's just you don't get the feel for black and white, the contrast. Are you pumping the contrast up yourself later?
No, not really, because I mean there are certain types of film that I've used that I felt I've had to do that, but in general, and that's what I love about the Neopan. Like the contrast is so high that it generally comes out, to the max, anyways.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I used to use like Fuji HP5. Fuji, I meant Ilford HP5, and that stuff was very contrasty, and it also depends how your guy, because you said you have a guy who processes them for you, how he bakes them. The hotter the temperature, the quicker it's going to develop. The quicker it develops, the more grain there's going to be. There's all different scenarios and different things that can happen in the darkroom when you're processing the negatives. You can push the film, but there's so many different things that can change the way that your film acts. And I used to over-bake my film. When I say bake, develop, I used to over-develop it just because I loved getting a thick, toned negative. If you underdevelop and you don't leave it in long enough, you get a very flat and boring-looking, print. But when you overdevelop, over-process by a couple, maybe a minute, depending on the temperature, you get some really thick-looking images. So, yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
it's great what you can do. Definitely, I'm starting to discover that a lot more as well. I mean, I'm fairly new to photography, so I've mostly been getting acquainted with, with all of this stuff and the more technical aspects of the development. I feel like pretty soon I'm going to be in there in the dark room starting to play with the chemicals because I'm starting to give a lot of instructions to the guy. He's not frustrated. I mean, I think he gets a kick out of it and he likes the photos, but when he says he doesn't want to do something, I'll probably have to go and do it myself. And that's
the first thing you're going to have to actually learn how to do is put your film on a reel.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's not using those metal. I hated those metal reels. I used plastic reels. They were much easier to load. But for those people out there, you have to do everything in pitch black. You know, it's film, so if it gets exposed, some of you may not really know that. So you have to do it in pitch black, and it's all by feel. You just go in there and you have to roll your negatives up on this spool, put it into a tank, put in the developer, then put in a water wash, a stop bath, and put in a fixer to lock the image in. So there's so much that you had to do with film. So a lot of people have it easy these days. But I have to say, for you getting your exposures, how did you learn to get your exposures right?
In terms of like how to get the exposures right, I mean, I would say that one of the things that I really like about these Canon cameras and the Canon F1 is the like through the lens metering. I find really easy to use in terms of how you want to get the exposures. I'm starting to learn a little bit, certain types of film, it's good to overexpose. Certain types are good to underexpose for various reasons. But no, I would say I just got a good light meter. And I mean, it's it is a fairly straightforward concept.
Sure. Is it the needle that goes up and down the right-hand side, or is it the lights at the bottom?
No, it's the two, like the hoop and the needle on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. And obviously you're manually focusing everything.
Everything, yeah.
Which is tough for me. I'm sort of blind all the time, so I rely on autofocus for the fact that I have trouble with my eyes being blurry, but that's beside the point. No, I just love, especially this image. Well, let's dive into this a little bit. He's not right in the center, which is a major plus, because if he was in the center of this image, it would totally detract from it. It really would. So just the placement of where he's at in this image, the depth of field that you shot it at, the fact that he's actually in focus, because that obviously is very important in this, and the way that you did you crop this at all? I'll ask.
No, I didn't crop it. No.
Okay, so basically what we see here is how you shot it. What I love is the framing. You didn't cut off any integral parts. You cut them off right below the waist or right around the waist, but you're not losing anything major. So that is so important when you're composing an image. If you were to cut off his fingers, even though they're in his pocket, it would just look weird.
Exactly, yeah.
But I love this. It takes on a candid aspect, even though it is most likely a setup portrait, right?
Not at all. Actually, none of my photos are set up, and that's the thing. And it's kind of why I liked the, and I always go back to that 50 millimeter f1.8 lens, is because, like you said, it's what your eye sees. The way I shoot is basically wherever I am, traveling around for work or whatever, or in Montreal. Basically, I always have my camera with me. I don't shoot a million photos of a particular subject. Like this photo, for example, I shot two images, and not even that often. I will only shoot one, because what I basically do is I won't pull out the camera unless I actually see something. And when I see something that I want to shoot, I think about it and I understand why I like it. So it's so I can know how to treat it with the depth of field. So I know what to put at the proper spots on the thirds to get the composition right.
You're
what's important about this photo.
it.
Yeah, I'm pre-visualizing it, and I'm understanding why I like why my eye sees it and sees something. So I basically know. I really want to focus on on his face. So I'm going to use a shallow depth of field, and I want everything drawn into that point. So basically, like I don't shoot a lot of photos, and I haven't done very many setup photos, because I've only, like, I used to, I got back into photos after about 10 years of playing a lot of music, and not shooting any photos at all, and just getting really like into that, and getting into this kind of like business side of that. And what I wanted to do when I got into photos was just really like kind of reignite the whole like creative side of making art, making work, and kind of eliminate all the other aspects. So I haven't been doing any like commercial work. I've only been shooting for the sake of wanting to shoot, and so I haven't been doing very many things that are set up, basically.
Well, I mean, that's great.
And Nader, I mean, the subject in his photo, if anybody goes to my Flickr and sees about 40 photos of Nader, well, just because Nader's my best friend and I always walk around with him, people always ask me why I photographed him so much. But
no, that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And what's good about you just having the 50 and knowing you're using the 50, I usually recommend for people to look through the lens, like carry the camera around, look through it, because you see something different through the camera. But being that you're using the 50, what you're looking at is what you're going to see. So it just makes everything much easier for you. And it's great to use one lens. It's such a challenge for all the digital shooters out there to understand that you get 36 pictures, sometimes 24. Exactly. Depending on how many frames are on each roll. But it's such a challenge to shoot. Well, it's not really such a challenge. We all did it back in the day. But you shoot, you have 36 pictures. You can't look at the picture when you take it. You get a feel for what you're supposed to shoot. You understand the lighting. You understand your meter. You capture the image. You don't overshoot. You don't motor drive through things just because you can. Even though your camera, my camera can do 9 frames a second, doesn't mean I'm ever going to lock through 9 frames a second. Yeah. It's there for quick bursts. But in cameras like this, you feel the image because you have to get that decisive moment. And pretty soon I'm going to put out a competition, or just a photo challenge for everybody to work on for a week or 2 weeks. I'll be putting that up soon in the forum, just because we're going to start doing, learning, getting things done together, and give everybody challenges and pick some winners for it. Cool. But anything else you want to add about your work? Something that you're looking to do in the future?
I don't know. It's all pretty new to me still, so I'm still exploring. I don't really know. No, there's not really anything else I could add. I'm just gonna keep shooting. I'm glad people are checking out the photos, and glad to get a lot of nice feedback about it.
Definitely. No.
And maybe one day I'll get bored of the old 50mm lens, and then I'll start getting into other stuff. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe never.
What's interesting is it's a give and take with the lenses. I find myself for many months using my Hebrew Trinity, my zoom lenses, and then occasionally picking up those 50s, the 50mm 1.4, the 85 1.4, and just shooting with them for a while and going, wow, this really changes how I shoot, because I'm not zooming. I've got to move my feet. I've got to pay attention to what's going on. So it's a nice challenge, and also the fixed lenses just give you such a great picture.
Yeah.
Just so solid. Anyway, if you had your chance to go digital, would you today? If you had $3,000 to put into a body and some lenses?
No, probably not. I mean, I think I would, at this point, I would probably buy a whole bunch more analog gear. Like maybe I would build a darkroom or something like that. I'm pretty hooked on doing it this way.
Hey, that's good. That's not a bad thing.
And I mean, it's weird because, a lot of people who went to digital before, it was all about saving money on film, saving money on processing. But for me, when it came down to it, I was like, I can buy a $100 camera that can do what a $3,000 digital camera can do. So, by the time I get to the point where it's, I've spent so much on film, who knows?
Nah, I don't think you'll get to the point where you spend so much on film per what people are shooting digitally, because you're stuck to that 36 frames, which is great. Hey.
Who knows? But no, I've got a good long while. This love affair with film will continue for a couple more years, I think.
Well, that's good. That's great. That was a lot of fun. I really love this picture. So remember, guys, get your pictures up in the Flickr Photo group, and maybe I will call you one day. So, Andre, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jared.
All right, this has been Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, signing off.